Hey guys, Nova here. First off, if you hear some kind of like a machine running in the background, it is our AC unit. It's warm here right now, and that's very frustrating. It can cause a good few issues for me with some of my health issues it can affect, and I like for things to be cooler just to be more comfortable and to keep from having issues with my legs. So it's going to be running the whole time more than likely because it's been really warm. But as you can see by the title, we're tackling something a little bit differently this time. And what we're going to be talking about is the subject in general of trauma versus drama. This is not me going over the individual things versus each other. This is honestly why I think trauma versus drama is a bad topic to cover. Just about every single time that I have seen people try and cover such a thing, they try and tackle it from the wrong angle or in a very poor way that just does not address things properly, and it ends up coming off really gatekeepy. And I've noticed here recently there has been a bit of an issue, mostly taking place in the art commentary community, where this has come up. And I'm not doing this as a response video. This is a standalone. I am not, other than touching on things very vaguely, it's just a jumping off point. It's not a response. I don't do that. It's just not my thing, and I don't like to get into it with people. But I really want to address the fact that this is a bad topic in general to try and tackle in the way that most people try and tackle it. The biggest thing I have to say that people need to stop is trying to go through and give outside people criteria on what to judge as trauma or drama. That is instantly why people read things as gatekeeping. That's why people will take a video like that very poorly. Because regardless of your intentions, this is key. No matter your intentions with something like this, it's very likely to be used and twisted against people. It is. The real angle that I personally believe should be taken in regard to all of this sort of thing is that every single subject, no matter which one we personally classify it as, should be approached and treated with the respect and propriety that it deserves. Because, frankly, if you're an outsider in a subject, you don't know the details of what someone has gone through. You don't know whether or not things may have been traumatic for a person. As an outsider, it's not any of our places to judge whether or not someone else's experiences are trauma or drama. Something that may seem like nothing or may seem lukewarm to someone else could be traumatic. Arguing with your parents was one that was brought up. And again, this is not a response, but these examples need to be acknowledged, and it needs to be recognized how they can be drama or trauma. Someone on the outside might view having a fight with your parents or even arguing with them, getting in trouble of any sort, just as drama, and if somebody's talking about it, that they might be dramatizing it, taking it to dramatic levels. When in reality, depending on the individual who goes through it, that can be very traumatic. That can be extremely traumatic. You don't know what someone has gone through unless you witness it. Also, you don't know what the extent of it may have been just because someone's talking about it. But even if you do, you still don't know how it may affect them, especially because different people react to things differently, which makes the entire subject one that's difficult to handle. And I can understand what the intent was when anybody really discusses it. It's addressing the fact, and this is something that is a big problem, it's addressing the fact that people do treat traumatic situations as though they're simply drama. People treat everything as if it's drama to be discussed, drama to talk about, something to turn into entertainment. And that is where the problem comes in. And I understand that that's where most people, when they talk about this kind of thing, is coming from. But the second you try and put forth criteria for other people to tell if something is drama or trauma, that's when there becomes an issue. Because, like it or not, putting forth any kind of a litmus test for anything like that for someone who's not involved directly in the situation, it automatically creates a way for someone to say, no matter how vague your wording, it creates a way for people to twist that into,
oh, your thing isn't severe. Your situation, it's not severe. What you went through isn't severe enough. How dare you act like you're traumatized by that?
You didn't go through insert thing here, so you weren't traumatized. You're just being dramatic. Do you see where that becomes a problem? One thing people don't recognize is, like it or not, if you have an audience, your implications are just as important as your words. Your implications, especially if you have a big audience, you don't know the way people think and the people who may be watching your video, especially if younger people get a hold of it. Because kids don't have that filter to go through and go, well, they used vague wording, so they're not being specific. That doesn't matter to them. And kids can be mean, okay? Kids can be mean. And kids will go through and use things against other kids, against other people. If they don't like them, they will take something that somebody they like has said and twist it and use it to attack people. That's why considering your implications is important. That's why taking accountability for what your implications were and clarifying, I did not mean this, I meant this, and I'm sorry that my poor wording made it seem insert thing here. It's a big deal, and it's something that needs to be acknowledged. There's a reason that people with big followings are referred to as influencers. Like it or not, no matter how much you try and say, oh, I can't control my audience, you can control what implications you put out. And no matter how much you cannot control your audience, you do need to take accountability for poor wording and implications that you might put out there. And that's where it becomes important. And I'm trying not to talk in circles, I'm good at that. But one of the biggest things is that every situation needs to be treated carefully and delicately, because unless you're directly involved, and by directly involved I mean you can show that you had involvement where you have evidence to back it up, if you're going to be speaking in explicit terms and specifics, you can't say what is dramatic or traumatic to somebody else. You can't. And even if this was for a way, even if things were put out as an intended way for people to tell whether or not they should make a quote-unquote drama video about something, that's not how it ends up being perceived. That's not how it ends up being used. And frankly, just the better way to handle it is to take things and treat them delicately regardless of whether or not you think it's just drama, regardless of whether or not you think this might be traumatic to someone. Because once drama gets blown out of proportion and it gets to the point where it's escalated and the awful, horrible game of internet telephone has gotten so out of control that things accidentally or intentionally and maliciously have been extremely twisted and expanded into things that are not true, it becomes just this awful thing that can cause trauma. And then if you perpetuate that, you are part of the root cause of this going from drama to trauma. And don't take that out of context. I'm not saying that, what I'm saying is people need to be careful with what they say. And treating things that are very clearly, obviously, on a very obvious front, traumatic as just drama is another thing that is bad, that you should not do, that people should not do. But really the best way around it without getting gatekeepy is to treat everything delicately. I do want to say one thing, especially if you're trying to cover this kind of video and you use an example in yours, I do feel like it's best if you're using an example of a situation that's one or the other, I don't think it's smart to link back to your own videos covering a topic when you're discussing someone else's situation. If they have videos out there, it should be their videos that you link to. But all this comes down to taking accountability and learning to be empathetic. Learning to be empathetic, I think, is the biggest part of this. Because I think, and I do think that there was a point in saying that people have become so desensitized to things, largely because of being on the internet so much. We've become so desensitized to things that happen, and many things that happen are treated as entertainment when they shouldn't be. Many things are treated as, it's just drama. Oh, I can't wait until the next person's video comes out covering the situation. I want to look at every video covering the situation. And that does, I think, directly impact people's ability to be empathetic and to actually empathize with people and what they may be going through, especially because it creates this really awful situation and mindset of, well, if it hasn't happened to me, I don't understand how it could hurt you so badly. That's a bad take to have on things, and it's at a point now where it's very evident that that's the mindset that so many people are taking on, and it shouldn't be. I know this was a bit rambly. This was admittedly unscripted. I am working on scripting more things going forward. I need to get the hang of how to properly script and start having someone look over it. But I hope this video made sense. I hope it wasn't too rambly. And I just think overall, I've said it multiple times in this, and that's one reason why I need to get to the end of the video. I'm starting to talk in circles. But frankly, we need to do better. As people, in general, we need to do better. And one of the best ways to do that is to treat situations delicately. Even if we think that if we went through it, it wouldn't be nearly as bad. Or we think we'd handle it better. Or we look at something and go, oh, that's not that bad. This thing here is worse. And we need to stop that. But that's about all I really have for this particular topic. I want to do a few more topics that are more serious. But I also want to get back to the fun, interesting topics. If you have any topic suggestions, definitely let me know, because I would love to hear them. I would love to have people suggest things that they want me to talk about, or just things that you think would be engaging. Would love to hear it. And that's all for this one, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!